You're listening to Radio Free Rhinecliff.
Welcome to Studio Property, the cinema podcast for people like you. I'm Doug Wartell.
I'm Devon, and this week we are discussing Amelie circa 2001, as directed by one Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, hopefully I did okay, French-speaking
You
listeners.
did.
Cinematography by Bruno.
What are they going to do?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know, if they know us directly, they'll tell us.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was told to my face that our Italian pronunciations were crap.
Yeah.
All right. Cinematography by Bruno Delbano. Screenplay is by Guillaume Laurent. And the story is by Monsieur Laurent and Monsieur Jeunet. So they wrote that together. And, of course, music and scoring by Jan Tiersen.
Before we get started with all of that, we have to announce that we launched a website
Yes.
last week.
Yes, we did.
And we're very, very excited about it. It acts as the Grand Central Station to everything we do.
Mhm.
Our videos are there. The blog is there. You can get to Radio Free Rhinecliff from there. You can get to our Letterboxd from there. You get to our socials, our Instagram, everything right from that one lovely spot. You get to see pictures of our crew, of our
Yeah.
gang, as
Yep.
it were.
The whole crew's on there.
They're not in their colors. Like, they don't walk around with, like, bandanas with, like, the
No.
Radio Free Rhinecliff and there's, like, a tower tattooed on their face.
A radio tower. That'd be amazing, right?
That'd be an awesome tattoo. Just a big radio tower on your face.
Well, now I'm thinking about who in our crew could we sucker into getting that tattoo? Because I'm not doing
easily, Mike Prococo. Easily. So, that being said, yes, studiopropertyshow.com. But I'm going to read some copy before we get this episode going because we have a special guest coming on.
We do.
This is a very special movie we're talking about.
It is.
Well, here we go. By the time Miramax bought the American distribution rights to Amelie, it was already the most popular film overseas, which meant not a frame of it could be changed. In other words, Harvey Weinstein couldn't molest it, but he did streamline the name. It's now 2025, and I'm happy to report the fabulous destiny of Amélie Poulain is just as gorgeous, whimsical, and joyous as you might have heard or remember it. Despite being released in America just 2 months after 9/11 and beginning with the death of Lady Diana of Wales, the movie seemingly took our ennui by the hand and sent it skipping through a misremembered Paris on a scavenger hunt for ourselves. Amelie is about our relationship with nostalgia. Not a nostalgia that would deny darkness, nor does it celebrate shrines or mock middle-aged men for believing in magical properties of mischievous women with asymmetric haircuts. This movie is about nostalgia and its unfortunate relationship with paralysis. Amélie Poulain is our agent to the present moment, no different than Dorothy was in The Wizard of Oz. Her journey is ours, and I'm thrilled that we get to go on it together this week. You and me, Dev, and our special guest, who agreed after you play the freaking theme song.
Put that prop gun down. Put back the canisters you stole. The devil laughed out loud when you signed away your rotten soul. That's studio property, your studio property. Hey! Shut your mouth or you'll never work in Hollywood again. Ha-cha!
So, yes, this week we have a special guest, a friend of yours, one Monsieur Mondo.
Hey.
Oh, and you kept the theme? You were very thematic?
I was,
I just saw that. I saw you doing that.
Yeah, I was like, I should. So, yeah.
Hi, Mondo.
Hi. You know, my actual name is extremely French.
See, so
You
I
want to
was
give your
right.
actual name, or you just want to or you want to
Sure.
imply it?
Armand Henri Pierre Charpentier II.
Damn. And you're
That's
making
his
fun
real
of me
name.
for saying Monsieur.
That's the only thing I can pronounce well in French is my name. Like the rest of it is just,
I'd be sad if you couldn't pronounce your name well in French now that you've said it
Yeah.
out loud to me. Mm-hmm.
And thanks for having me.
Thanks for
you're very
joining
welcome.
us.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that you're here. The reasons are legion, and we're going to go on this journey together because unlike the paralysis of nostalgia, you might be someone I know from the past, but I would
I might be.
I think you would agree that our presents are far more interesting.
Absolutely.
Ooh, I
So
like
that being said, this was the first time you saw this film, right?
Yes, I had never seen it before. When you told me this was going to be the film, I told you it was on my medium list. Not my short list, not my list of films I will see sometime before I die, but like a movie I would like to see, but I wasn't rushing towards it. Which is strange because I love Jean-Pierre Jeunet. Did I do that?
That was so good.
It was so
That
good,
was
but it's
so
Jeunet. It's Jeunet.
Oh, sorry.
Jeunet.
Yeah.
Delicatessen and City of Lost Children are two of my favorite movies. I love those
Wonderful films.
And the fact that I hadn't seen this yet kind of baffles me at least a little.
Well, you and I talked before about Alien Resurrection also. That still counts. It's one of his films.
Yes. No, absolutely. And that is one of my that's another film I love of his. And I feel like I really did think it was a pretty good movie until the very end. The Alien Hybrid kind of sucked all the air out of everything I was feeling about that movie. Yeah,
still better than 3, right?
Definitely better than 3.
Yeah.
That's a low bar.
Yeah. How do you say duty in French, Devon?
I am assuming poo-poo.
That was Alien 3 in French. Yeah. It was funny because, like, you think when you have, like, one of your friends on, you're going to be like, watch maybe movies you watch together or something like that. For example, when Mike came on, right, like, he turned me on to Pelham. But Devon does the schedule. just little inside baseball. Devon does the schedule. And, yeah, you'll see the spreadsheet. I'm not joking. We're booked until May. I know everything we're doing in order till May.
Yeah.
So I was just like, no, I want him on soon. Just get him on. Make him watch the French thing. Let's just go. Get this going.
Thank you for making me watch the French thing. I loved it. I loved the French thing.
Glad to oblige.
I had the subtitles on in German though, so it was a lot of yelling. No. I did have the English subtitles.
The movie, I would say, as we come to an awkward volume change because I had to cough.
Sorry.
The main character, we would all agree, is the atmosphere of the film. We hope we do the best job we possibly can describing to you the magic of this film. But first and foremost, right here at the top, it is as big and as permanent as The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's unsurprising, your description from earlier, that by the time it was released in the United States, it was already massively popular all over Europe. And if you look at its awards, its nominations, it's everything. It was nominated for everything under the sun. Foreign language film, screenplay, art direction, cinematography, sound, direction, actress in a leading role, editing, music. Just everything. And from everybody, the Oscars, the BAFTAs, European Film Awards, the French Syndicate of Film Cinema Critics, which I honestly think is brilliant. The French Syndicate of Cinema Critics cracked me up. Golden Eagle. Golden Ego.
Yeah, I am the Golden Ego. I am the Golden Ego, ma'am.
Oh, God. Golden Globes. The other one I love is the Karlovy Vary International Film Festival. That was one.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing.
That sounds like a fun festival. I would go to that.
What was that called again? The what?
The Karlovy Vary International Film Festival.
Karlovy Vary.
Yeah. And I also have the Toronto International Film Festival.
Like, is it very as in this is a very film festival?
Like it's somebody's name, like Karlovy and Vary, Vary. Karlovy Vary. So whoever the hell.
That's how we spell Vary.
No,
right?
Vary, I said.
Oh. Varying degrees.
Yeah. So I have no idea who on earth Karlovy Vary is. We should find out. But apparently this dude has his own international film festival, and it loved Amelie. Yeah. Like everybody should. Everybody should.
The Oscars, however, did not. And that's not because of the film. It's because of an unpleasant name I got to bring up right about here. We'll just say the Weinstein brothers, right? Who had the American distribution, as I mentioned at the top. They had the distribution to the first 2 films as well. So Sony Pictures had a little more to do with those. But he already had a bad relationship with the Weinsteins because they wanted to cut into the first 2 films. And to which he replied, then cut my name out. And then that
guy.
got settled pretty quick. Oh, he's wonderful. And for those of you listening at home, Jean-Pierre Jeunet in real life is a little bit Amelie in the most wonderful ways. And we'll get into that more. But by the time this film gets to the Oscars, the Academy is so sick of the Weinstein shit because they had by then bullied the Academy into nominating films they wouldn't have otherwise, right?
Right.
I don't want to assume which ones, English Patient, but like they strong-armed a lot of people. So by all accounts, everyone loved the film. They did not love pressure that they were anticipating from both Weinsteins. So
it lets you know what can happen when you have to deal with douchebags. Because honestly, Amelie should have won a bunch of awards. And it was nominated for 5 different Oscars.
Okay, can we talk about this, the three of us, for a second? Like, can we talk over here privately?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so, like, one of the Oscars was Best Cinematography, right?
Yeah.
It lost to, and this is touchy, Lord of the Rings, right?
Oh, okay.
Now, granted, at the time, you couldn't just take out your phone and film New Zealand with,
all right,
with
fair.
children and make a Lord of the Rings movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. You can now. It's not the same. Back then, it was new, right?
Yeah.
I still think Amelie should have won. That's just me.
Well, because arguably...
It's close.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's very...
Okay. It's not as bad as... Because the penultimate bad cinematography choice is Roger Deakins doing Skyfall and losing to the dude who did Life of Pi, which we all know.
Don't even start. I'm getting mad all over again. You gotta calm me down. I'm about to say curse words. Yeah.
Oh my God, right? Because it's basically in front of a green screen.
This is turning me racist.
But
I'm just saying because it makes me that angry.
Yes. Okay. So okay. And I love Lord of the Rings because I'm a nerd and I do. And it's a thing we just both have to live with.
I would never call you anything terrible, though. Like, you are a nerd in the best possible sense.
Okay.
And I'm being nice right now because I'm trying to keep myself in a good place because otherwise I might be hateful.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Life of Pi.
Right? Life of Pi.
Fuck that movie.
But my point is, Lord of the Rings, although maybe not as bad as Life of Pi as far as green screen and such, still is a tremendous amount of green screen, special effects, et cetera, et cetera. Except for the beautiful, like you said, except for the gorgeous shots of the New Zealand countryside. Whereas Amelie...
But it's the first one, though. It was the first one. It was the first one. It was so boring.
I know. Okay. Yes. But my point is, Amelie...
There was a statue. Stop. That was the only part I remember of the first one.
Yes. Yeah. But again, Amelie is none of those things. Amelie is all camera work and lighting and
there was a millisecond of a rill of water that sticks in your memory long after the movie's over. And
precisely.
And it's a second. It's a fleeting second.
Yes, precisely. So again, listeners, this is what happens when douchebags get involved.
Still. Oh, yeah.
They may have checked out a little bit, but that's why I was like, come back to the room. We're not talking about it anymore. But yes, but that is what happens is when you get, like all industries, things can get political. And douchebags get involved and corporations get involved. And then amazing films don't win well-deserved awards. That's right, I said it.
Peter Jackson, man. No, I love Peter Jackson. Okay. But agreed.
Yeah.
All right. We should probably move on before we get ourselves in trouble.
An editor wouldn't kill you. That's all we're saying. But so what we're going to say about Amelie as well, where the awards are concerned, is one more little tiny point, and that is Wes Anderson comes up a lot in comparison because of their narration styles are very similar. They're not ripping each other off. One isn't the American equivalent of the other. Mm-hmm. They're inspired by very specific things that in the course of the show, you'll see evidence of in pieces of. Your Jean-Luc Godard's, your Powell and Pressburgers. In 2002, they were both nominated at the same time. One for the Royal Tenenbaums and one for Amelie. So I just had to vomit out all of that info right here at the top of the show. Before Mondo gets to the scene he wants to talk about first.
Right? Okay.
You get to go first.
The Wes Anderson thing, I mean, that's like, I mentioned that this had sent me down like quite the rabbit hole. This, after watching it the first time, I had to watch Risk Cutters. I rewatched Delicatessen and City of Lost Children. I watched a Amazon show, I'm a Virgo, because there was just something about Amelie that just made me remember that series that I hadn't finished. But I didn't make that Wes Anderson connection until you mentioned it. And then I'm just like, yeah, how did I miss that? Why didn't I spend all day yesterday watching Wes Anderson films? Because my brain won't let me not watch everything that I think of in relation to this film.
It's right there. I mean, it's like,
how did I miss that?
Because sometimes it's just so right in front of your face that you can't see the forest for the trees. You know? Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Don't worry. It happens.
It's very easy to just be like, montages are only for training scenes.
You're the best around.
So I am aware that we all want to discuss the same first scene because I know we all had it on our list. But before we do, I'm going to run through the cast real quick because we got to at least throw out the people that are in this bad boy, and then we can talk about the scene. Okay.
Yeah. So, bring up the cast and I'll play the accordion.
Oh, yay!
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. So
I got to find the C.
All right. We'll wait till you find middle C, and then we'll go.
Okay, find myself. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Audrey Tautou plays our protagonist, Miss Amélie Poulain. Matthew Kasovitz as Nino Quincampoix. Rufus, a one-named guy, not unlike Cher, plays Raphael Poulain, Amélie's father. Serge Merlin is Raymond Dufayel, Amélie's neighbor, also known as the Glass Man. And a delightful Jamel Debbouze is Lucien, the grocer's assistant, who's in love with Lady Diana or Lady D. And normally I wouldn't get this deep into the cast, but I know there's a few other roles. There's a few other parts that we all love and will come up, so we have to mention them. Urbain Cancelier is Cornillon, the grocer, who Lucien works for. Clotilde Mollet is Gina, fellow waitress with Amélie at the Two Windmills. Claire Morier is Suzanne, the owner of the Two Windmills. Isabelle Nanty is Georgette, who is the tobacconist at the Two Windmills, which I didn't even know was a job. And of course, Dominique Pignon is Joseph, our weird stalker ex-boyfriend of Gina.
I love Dominique Pignon.
He's so good in that role.
He is.
He's amazing. And I love his rubber face.
Yes.
He's like a mystical creature.
He is kind of. He is.
By the way, I think I just broke the diaphragm of the the accordion.
Oh.
No,
that's bad.
It's kind of weird. When I pulled it out, it was like it hit like the key of dead people. So I don't know.
No.
Yeah, I might have opened a hellmouth too.
Uh-oh. I don't know. This is one of those rare occasions that I'm kind of happy we don't live by each other since you just opened a hellmouth. All right. Scene number 1. We all want to talk about it. Blubber's attempted suicide. Who's going first?
All right. Well, let's give it some context a little bit. Right? Blubber is young Amélie's goldfish who attempts to kill himself by jumping out of his own bowl. Okay, now please proceed.
Okay, wait, hold on. And why does he attempt to kill himself? Because their household is a mess. Amélie's father is, what is it? She's stuck between an iceberg and a neurotic. Her father is the iceberg, the mother is the neurotic, and poor Amélie is homeschooled and has no friends.
She's never satisfied.
Her only friend is Blubber, who tries to kill himself.
Yeah. And, one of the reasons she's homeschooled is because her father's an iceberg. The narrator tells us that he is not affectionate, like he's not physically affectionate. All she wants is a hug from her dad, who was a military doctor, and That's all she wants is a hug from her dad. He doesn't give her one. But once a month, he gives her a medical checkup. And the thrill of that fleeting touch sends her heart going. And that's why he thinks that she has a heart problem, which is why she has to be homeschooled, because he thinks that she's got a medical issue.
And again, it's told in that narration. They're like, and she just wanted a hug. She does not have a heart problem. Like the narrator,
Right.
diagnosed with a heart problem and can't go to school. She does not have a heart problem.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cute, but at the same time, you think about it for one more second, you're like, oh,
So sad.
yeah.
But it is how she develops, because she is alone and has to entertain herself. It's how she develops her amazing imagination, which we get to experience throughout the course of the film, visually and with sound and all these beautiful little moments where you're getting her goofy sort of inner world.
That strange animal that she is checking the heart of.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's pretending to play doctor, and it's like an alien kind of looks like a platypus monster kind of situation, like something between one of those yip yips from the Sesame Street and a platypus kind of together.
Yes.
Good call. The effects are so great, and they're childlike, right? But like at the same time, like this is the beginning days of CGI.
Right.
Of things getting really, where we're starting to think maybe we can do a lot more than than we've done before, where it doesn't look too cartoony, or we're like almost there. And this is a perfect movie for that awkward growing stage of the process, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah. I love when he jumps out of the fishbowl and he goes under the stove because of Amelie's scream. And she just points and screams this one long continuous scream until something is done about retrieving blubber from under the stove.
The sound effect of the combination, her scream, and the longer it goes on, the higher pitched it gets. And then his flopping around, you can hear his little goldfish body flip-flopping around. Oh, it's terrible. And then the noise of mom trying to get him out from underneath the stove with a broom, and that doesn't work. So she tries to vacuum him up.
The vacuum.
Yeah.
What would that do to Blubber if she had actually caught him? That would be terrible.
I mean, I can't imagine he would have come out of it unscathed.
No.
Yeah, I just imagined it. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And then finally they can't get it, so dad comes in with a like a car jack and starts jacking up the stove so they can get poor Blubber out, put him back in his bowl, which of course is another fantastic plop of him going in the bowl, and then they put books on top of it so he won't escape again.
But the mother decides it's been enough. She gets right to the foreground of the shot and is like, enough! And they have to get rid of Blubber. And they do this by going to the local bridge on the river and dumping him in the river.
Oh.
Describe that scene.
Yeah, this is the one part of this movie that actually made me tear up. Yeah, as I get older, stuff makes me cry all the time. I watch Star Wars Rebels and I cry. I'm just sitting there. This is the part of the movie that actually made me cry. It was saying goodbye to Blubber. They dump him in the river, and his and Amelie's eyes meet. He seems a little confused, a little sad. I mean, he's been trying to kill himself, but he seems very sad. And then that rain comes down, it obscures him. You can't see him anymore. And then mom dumps the goldfish bowl, and and we say goodbye to Blubber.
Which is a real jerk move. Why did she dump the bowl in the canal?
Right?
What is that?
Yeah, and it seemed like an aggressive, like almost thrown into the river, like,
yes.
Take your damn bowl with you. Like when you're like, oh man.
Yeah. Take your bowl with you. You and your suicide attempts. Which of course then makes it, a weird moment later than, because it's right after this that we find out mom was killed by somebody attempting suicide.
Suicide. Yeah.
Suicide.
Yeah.
Guy
was jumping off a tower?
No, Notre Dame Cathedral.
Yeah,
Notre Dame.
Remember?
Yeah.
She and Amelie are coming out of the cathedral, and it's like
right.
Marguerite, a tourist from Montreal or something,
Yes.
Right.
bent on ending your life, jumps off the top of Notre Dame and lands on top of Mom, and Mom's gone.
And
Yeah.
they were at Notre Dame praying for a little brother.
Yep.
Oh man.
Not going to happen.
No. That's really sad and funny. It is.
Oh,
It is.
yes.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the movie you're dealing with right there in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
Like you're dealing with negotiating super sad things in very silly and funny situations.
Right.
Yeah. And that's just something that Genet has mastered through his entire. The thing is weird. Straight, like he only has like a handful of films. I think he's got 5. All of them play with that tension.
Yeah.
So from Mom's death, we get to fast forward a bit, and we see Amelie as a young lady leaving home, and she becomes a waitress in the Two Windmills Cafe, which is in Montmartre, and it is a real restaurant. People, it's there, it exists. I've been, and so then we get to kind of
we talked about it before in another
have.
episode. In a slightly pregnant man, we mentioned that.
Yep.
So, and I gotta tell you, when this came out again, I was like, oh damn, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Huh.
I'm right.
It didn't look, and it's funny because it was, a slightly pregnant man, Mondo, was made in the 70s, right? Cafe doesn't look that different.
No, it really doesn't.
Yeah. It's just a little cleaner. They got it like they spiffed it up a bit.
Sure.
Yeah, cleaner, no pinball machines, but otherwise basically the same. Yes, so we jump ahead in our story, and I know, Doug, the scene you want to talk about was Amelie with the blind gentleman, which is so good.
Amelie at some point discovers the people around her in her life are sort of stuck in this rut where they don't really move in the present, right? Like it starts with her father, right? Who has now built a shrine to her mother, right? But doesn't really leave the house much. He's very just obsessed with the garden, which he eventually neglects. And she starts devising little ways and little schemes to get people out of their rut. She sort of devises them in real time as she's learning about these ruts. We have another character whose husband is gone, with the taxidermy dog staring at his photo. There's nostalgia, and then there's taxidermy dog staring at the photo of her dead husband, who has written her letters from a war.
Which she has placed there, but she just see the way he looks at him.
Yes.
Yeah.
The dog. The stuffed dog.
He could be looking at anything if she turned him, but she's just like,
and he
look
would
at the
be
way he's
looking at that
looking
thing
at
the
him.
same way.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. Right. So this is another person who's now turned their life into a wax museum, right?
Yeah.
Who can't get out of their rut. She has a coworker with hypochondria, right? Who can't get out of her rut, who's constantly sad, and then gets more and more physical symptoms the more she talks.
Yep.
So Amelie starts devising these little plans to get them out of their little ruts. And when she executes the first one, she gets a glow about her. She decides, in this moment of whimsy, that she's going to take this local blind guy who's in the town square, take him by the arm, and just walk him as fast as she can through the town square to the train station and describe the whole world around them in that 2-block radius as fast as she can to this man, so he experiences life like the rest of us. It is an incredible scene. The shot from the dolly down below to the crane swoop at the end, it is one of the most gorgeous pieces of filmmaking I've ever seen in my life. And it all happens in this one little tiny scene.
Yeah.
We're also asked as the audience, because she describes things like the smell of a thing, prices of a thing, right? Sounds she's describing. She's asking us, the audience, to use our other senses besides the one we use to watch a film, right? Or the main one that we use to watch a film. And we in turn smell the cheese.
Yes.
Mhm.
There's the fromagerie,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the cheese shop.
We hear the sounds of the people in the market because of the sound design is the way everything is panned,
Mm-hmm.
and the passerbys.
Mm-hmm.
And she literally picks the viewer up and marches them through the streets and asks us to use all of our other senses without ever drawing the screen blank.
Mm-hmm.
And it's executed in moments. It is also like the pace of that scene, the tempo of it is
It's very quick.
yeah.
If I could jump back a little earlier,
Yeah.
because this is one of I'll mess his name up every time. Jeannot's things is I mean, it all starts with the death of Lady Di.
Janae.
Janae. It starts with the death of Lady Di. And
Yeah.
when she hears the news, she's playing with her perfume bottle. She drops the cap. It rolls and hits that tile. And inside the wall, she finds that small box. And it's not as obvious in Amelie as it is in some of his, in City of Lost Children, Delicatessen. He likes to do this very natural Rube Goldberg thing, where it's just like, this thing does this, and then it hits here, and then it hits here. But it's not like a machine that somebody put together to like make breakfast in the morning. It's very organic and natural. And so this is like kind of where this whole thing starts, because once she finds that box, she's curious, like, who was the little boy who lived here back in the 50s?
Because in the box is all these old toys and photographs. Yeah.
She does some detective work. She finds out who he is. And instead of just giving him the box and saying like, hey, I found this in the wall in my apartment, she leaves it in the phone booth and she waits until he's walking by and she makes that phone call. So he goes in there and there's the box. She goes to wherever he goes next, another little bar or restaurant. He is stunned, like pleasantly stunned by this. And he decides, like, he hasn't talked to his daughter in a while. She has a son, so he's a grandson. And he decides, like, he needs to reach out and make contact with her because he's never met his grandson, hasn't seen his daughters in years. And she sees the change she made in this guy's life. That's one of the driving forces that pushes her to start trying to push other people towards happiness of some sort.
And when it hits, like, again, she just starts glowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And off into the world on this mission she goes. And to your point earlier, when you're talking about she doesn't present the box to him, she doesn't present anyone with her with her little Amelie magic tricks.
Right.
It's very much like she tricks them into the desired result.
Right.
You know, and the desired result is always closure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, we have one exception for that. Our one exception, and I am going to discuss it now. And it's not one scene, it's multiple scenes, and it's the gaslighting of the grocer.
Right. She's very right. She's very mean.
Okay. Now, in fairness, she is trying to do something good, which is the grocer, Mr. Collignon, has an assistant, Lucien, and Collignon treats Lucien like he's an idiot. And Lucien's clearly not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's not, well, it doesn't matter what he is or is not. You should not treat somebody that way. So Collignon keeps like aggressively mistreating him, you know, kind of abusing him and mocking him, especially like in front of the customers. And so Amelie starts this quiet little gaslighting situation because she's just like, you know what? He needs to stop. And so, and over the course of multiple scenes, that girl gets him good.
She gets into his apartment and just the short of it is lays a lot of booby traps that never cease to be funny.
Yes.
Well, if I could just step back again for just a second. She finds his key in his door and goes to give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And as she's going to give it to him, he's treating Lucien like crap. And that's when she's just like, oh, never mind. And she puts that key in her pocket and then she goes back to do this.
Am I wrong about this? Or doesn't she just make herself a copy of his key?
She makes herself a copy, yes.
Yeah. She just makes herself a copy of the key.
Because she knows this endeavor isn't going to be a one and done.
Exactly. Right. She's like, oh, yeah, no. She's like, I got this. It's going to take some time.
Yeah.
And gaslights him to thinking he's losing his marbles. And so I have to say, so that arguably that is the only episode that doesn't involve closure. It just involves trying to make a better outcome for Lucien, who ultimately is a pretty darn good kid.
Yeah. Underneath all of it.
Yeah. Poor Lucien just needs a break. And apparently when your boss thinks he's losing his marbles, you get said break.
He's sleeping in the cauliflower.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
When he's like, shh.
She also has a neighbor that just paints the same painting, the same Renoir painting.
Renoir, yeah.
Over over
luncheon
and over
at
again.
the luncheon at the boating house or something like that?
The boating party.
The boating party.
Yeah,
okay.
luncheon at the boating party.
By Renoir.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting character to have, right? Someone who's just locked in this repetitive pattern because he can't get this one character correct or to his liking or what he sees.
The girl with the
in
water
character.
glass.
The girl with the water glass.
So he's finding himself painting this thing over and over again. So bringing us back into the most obvious of the MOs of the people she's trying to help is the monotony of this paralysis that is overtaken.
That's Monsieur Dufayel. It's almost as though his character is giving us what she could be if she doesn't get herself out of her little kind of right. And so they like develop this very sweet little friendship, but it's also just sort of like this representation. And I think over time he realizes it well before she does. And then I think you almost feel like he's going, oh, I'm stuck in this pattern. Maybe I can't get out, but maybe I can help her get out. And then he's just kind of gently trying to guide her towards getting out, while all along she's doing all these little things to get everybody else out of their little ruts.
She becomes more or less like the girl with the water glass. The one girl who's alone, and he talks to her about herself, whether he knows it first or not, through talking about the girl with the water glass. Like, is she alone? What is she thinking of? Why is she so different from everybody else at this boating party?
And over the course of the film, he gets a better understanding of that character because he's now interacted with her multiple times.
Right. It's a very sweet way. Again, the way the filmmaking is done in such a way that you get that exposition, but in this very lovely way. That relationship is lovely.
He can't leave because he's the glass man. He has a brittle bone disease. So
right.
They even say, like, shaking his hand would break his fingers. And one of the things, I mean, she also helps him. What she does for him, she videotapes things because he's got that video camera on the clock outside,
right?
So that he doesn't have to wind his clock.
So he could watch it from his television, which is acting as the monitor of the
which
of
is
the video
hysterical,
camera.
Right?
Yeah.
But she records things on her VCR to show him like all this amazing things that he's missing because he can't leave his home, like the Tour de France, the horse and the motorcycles.
The famous guitar player's name.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Yes.
Peg-Leg Jones dancing.
Yeah, Peg-Leg Jones. That scene is so fun.
And just all these magical things,
Right. Mm-hmm. He's seeing things that he can't see because he doesn't leave because, he's got that brittle bone disease. And all he's really looking at is this one clock.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's seeing more of the world because she's sharing it with him because,
Again, breaking him from the monotony.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That whole interaction is it's gentle. It's lovely. It really pulls us along. But guys, we have to talk about some of the more obnoxious episodes of her trying to help people out.
Oh, okay. So, back at the cafe, she has a friend.
Georgette, yes. So Georgette, the girl who runs the tobacco counter.
Yes.
And then there's Joseph, who used to date Gina, the waitress.
Who's her other coworker.
And it's Suzanne, it's Madame Suzanne, the owner of the restaurant, that gives her the idea where she's like, you take two regulars, you put them together, let them stew a little bit. And of course, romance is going to bloom. And Amelie's
By the way, what's that actress's name?
That is Claire Morier.
Claire Morier is 95 years old right now and has appeared in more than 90 films.
Damn.
So
That's
I
a busy
needed to drop
woman.
that there.
That's like 1/7 of the number of films Eric Roberts has been in. But that's still quite impressive. We can't all be Eric Roberts. Yeah, we can't all be Eric Roberts. That is still an impressive amount of work.
Yeah.
If we can spend a second on cinematographer Bruno Debonel.
Yes.
He also shot Inside Llewyn Davis for the Coen brothers. He shot a ton of things, right?
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let me find my list.
Oh, you have a list?
Oh, are you kidding? I've got a list for this dude because he's got some good stuff.
But he also himself has a cameo in Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch.
Oh.
And is currently shooting right now Wes Anderson's new movie, which I'll give you the title if you want some spoilers. If you want some exclusive stuff that you can easily look up on the internet with your own 2 fingers. The Phoenician Scheme, to be announced. It's in that TBA column.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, like my dreams.
All right. I'm going to name some of these just because I think it says a lot about who he is as a cinematographer, shall we say. So in addition to Amelie, he also did another Audrey Tautou film. Well, actually, I think it's also a Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Yeah.
A Very Long Engagement, which is one of my all-time faves. I love A Very Long Engagement. Across the Universe, which arguably you
I've
can
never seen it. I know of it, but
okay. So it's if you hate the Beatles, you're not going to like it. However,
wait, hold up. Who hates the Beatles?
Right?
Are you monsters? Do monsters listen to this show? Which subhumans hate? Look, I understand the Stones are better, but which subhuman? I'm just starting fights for no reason.
You are just starting fights.
I'm starting fights. It's
Elvis fans who don't think that you can like Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yes. That's exactly who it is.
Right. It's like they feel like they have to pick one. And it's like, I love Elvis. F the Beatles.
I love that Elvis fans are harbingers of cognitive dissonance.
You are not wrong, Mondo. You are not wrong.
No truer thing has been said. Not on this show.
Nope. So, Across the Universe, assuming you're not a Beatles hating
monster
fan, a monster.
Yeah.
Okay, but visually, it's interesting, right? It's very.
You all are going to make me racist again.
We are. He also did a Harry Potter film. He did the 6th one, The Half-Blood Prince. The Dark Shadows, when they took Dark Shadows and made it into a film with Johnny Depp, he did that.
Wait. The Tim Burton? That's Tim Burton.
Is Dark Shadows Tim Burton? Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that happened, and I've never seen it.
Well, it was in that period where they just kept giving Tim Burton properties that they should never give him. Because he's great when he writes his own things.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't made a good movie since Ed Wood, but go ahead. Sorry.
So Bruno Delbonnel did Dark Shadows.
I'm violent today.
You are violent today. Inside Llewyn Davis. He did Darkest Hour, which was the Gary Oldman, Winston Churchill flick. And also the Tragedy of Macbeth. The Tragedy of Macbeth version they did with Denzel Washington just like a few years ago.
Did you say the trashy Macbeth?
I did not say the trashy Macbeth. I said the tragedy of Macbeth.
I thought you said like this trashy Macbeth, and that just.
I would like to see a remake of Macbeth in a trailer park now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, it could be good.
Trashy Macbeth, starring Helena Bonham Carter, like you've never seen her before.
Nice. Yes. Anyways, on that note, yes. Bruno Delbonnel has done.
Who would play? No, you know what? No. Let's stay here for a second because who is the one that went around in space? The one that was in The Blind Side, the other white meat. What's her name?
Milk Toast.
Yeah, Milk Toast lady.
Sandra Bullock.
That's her.
Perfect for trashy Macbeth. Right. That's why I'm here, America.
It is why you're here.
Hard choices.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So, Are we going to keep talking about Bruno Delbano, or do we feel like now
I think we covered it.
I feel like we've covered it. We need to move on.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. I don't even know where we were. I do know where we were, but I just said that because that was a real crazy tangent. Okay.
Sorry.
And you know where we're going? To
Where?
Bathroom sex. That's where we're going now.
Yes.
We're going from that crazy
Trashy
tangent.
Macbeth.
Trashy Macbeth. Bathroom sex.
Making whoopee.
Making whoopee.
She sets them up to make whoopee in the bathroom.
She does.
Which is one of my favorite scenes, but not for the whoopee necessarily.
But for the covering up of the whoopee.
Yes. So she has set them up by telling the other one that the other one's interested.
I mean, if I had
so they start stealing glances. Like at first, like they're both just like, she's like the stalker and he's just like her. But as they're stealing glances, they start to get interested. And then he goes to the bathroom and she spills tea.
She as an Amelie spills a whole like espresso on Georgette's lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sends her to the bathroom where Joseph is.
While yelling, Vive la France!
You I'm just, before we get to where we're going with this scene, I just want to point out that in Amelie's mind, she looked at her friend Georgette and was like, you know what would fix her? La whoopee.
Yes.
Yeah. So Devon, take us through the scene.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. So yes, there's been the flirting back and forth. Amelie spills the espresso. They both end up in the bathroom. We don't get to see anything in the bathroom other than them initially kissing, and we clearly know what's going to happen. But it starts getting noisy. And initially, the best part is we get a tidbit of Jurassic Park because we're looking at the shelves behind the bar with like glasses with straws and there's spoons and everything's gently rattling. And those glasses are gently rattling and working their way across the edge of the shelf. And so, yeah, it's like that. It's like the glass of water in Jurassic Park. There's just like gently, and Amelie's like
a bottle of water. You mean like
yeah. And then
and the Jello.
And the Jello.
Yeah,
exactly. Whereas Jurassic Park, it's a very steady thumping. La whoopee is happening, so it starts to get a bit more intense. And Madame Suzanne is talking to a couple of customers at the counter. Mm-hmm. And after a minute, everybody realizes what on earth is happening in that bathroom. And everybody's trying to pretend they don't know what's happening, but they all do. Until Georgette starts squealing. And as soon as she hits a certain pitch, Amelie's like, oh, shit. And she cranks up the steaming wand on the espresso machine to cover up the sound of the screaming. And then, of course, looks at the guys at the bar and Madame Suzette like, sorry, right. Just needed to aerate the steaming wand, pardon me.
It's a great scene. It is a really great scene.
Yeah, and again, this is, I'll say his name wrong again.
Genet.
I'll have Doug say it for me. Genet.
Yeah.
He does stuff like that in his other movies too. Just like something that's happening here affects something here. Like in Delicatessen, when the Delicatessen and the flat owner is having sex with his is making whoopee, with the other woman that lives there. We see it. Someone else is like they're doing the thing with those little cow cans, and Dominique Pignon is like painting the ceiling. And it all goes in that the same beat. And like as things pick up, they're all moving faster. Mm-hmm. Like that scene is just like, I gotta watch Delicatessen again.
I mean, that's a great thing about getting to do the show is like when I look at the schedule, I'm like, oh, I got to spend a week with that. Oh, awesome! Like it's like I watch it once, but I get to spend a week like learning about it and how it connects to other things and their other work. But yeah, to your point though, I mean, it is amazing to like just sit in this guy's mind for a little bit.
Well. I saw this movie, so it came out in 2001. I saw it in like early 2003, and it came out late 2001, right? So like maybe a year and a half later, and I was newly married, and it was just so perfect and it was just my world and I was so happy and I was like, I love this so much. And the only other time before that I kind of had like that level of moment was probably the first time I saw Roman Holiday when I was like 12, maybe 13. And I will say this. So I bring that up because this movie is how I absolutely fell in love with Audrey Tautou. And I've seen probably everything she's been in. I hadn't taken the time to think about the people who made the film. Right. And so, yes, I've seen Delicatessen and a few others. But once I started going down and I was looking at, Genet's his other work, I was like, I really need to see Micmacs and I really need to see Big Bug. They were not things that were, they were not movies that were on my list, but I'm like, of course I need to see those now because why wouldn't I see those?
Yeah, Devon, why wouldn't you see those? Unless it was now time for America's favorite segment. And of course, I mean, let's franchise this, baby. If you're new to the program, this segment is where me and our co-conspirators repurpose the content we've just spent all this time talking about and figuring out a way to milk it into either a remake or a sequel or a prequel for no other reason than money.
Woo!
Well, no, we're also making art, darling. We're making art, darling. We're making art. Right? Who would like to go first?
I'm going to go first. Just because I have a very strong opinion that I need to state up front, which is we should not be doing this because this film is fucking brilliant as it is, and we should not be remaking it. But I understand we're going to do that, but I have to say that right out of the gate.
When Devon needs to be beeped, that's because her passion could not be contained.
It's true. So this was my idea. Clearly, we can't remake it, so we're going to have a sequel. Well, what kind of sequel would we have? Well, I think Amelie and Nino are long since married because clearly they have to be together, right? Because it was complete joy. It'd be stupid if they weren't together. So for Amelie's in 1997.
And it exists in a magical world.
And yes, and exists in a magical world. Of course, they're still together. So it's 2025. So they're married and they clearly have a young adult child who would probably be about 20, 23, something like that, right?
Yes.
So I think our story is a sequel where Madame Suzanne has passed away and Amelie now owns and runs the cafe. Gina and Georgette still work there. And then her and Nino's adult child also works there. And we have options, boy or girl. I don't really know that it matters. We just want a young adult child. No. And I think our story is following the young adult who has decided to pull mom's shenanigans and try to help people in their life find some joy. So, how did you describe before, Doug? Like, people who feel like stuck. So obviously some people around this kid are kind of stuck in their nostalgia, right?
Yeah, they're just paralyzed. Yeah.
Thank you. Paralyzed by nostalgia. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think in particular, I feel like
Elvis fans.
Like Elvis fans. Yeah. Like Elvis fans.
They're stuck in the mud of life.
Yes, they're stuck in the mud of life. But I think we could probably have a nice, easy storyline with either Gina or Georgette, who, something. Joseph's long since gone, but he clearly has to make a cameo. He's got to be in there somewhere. He can't not be in the film. But like maybe helping the gals, I don't know, find love or have something good happen. I don't know. But I just know that I don't want it to be a romantic story for the
just
kid.
Stick him in the back like Mel.
Yes.
He just comes out once in a while. Like there's not even a restaurant. Like really, he just comes out with like a dish towel around his neck. Like I got to do a thing because I work here.
Yes. Obviously, Audrey Tautou and Matthew Kasovitz come back to be Amelie and Nino, and I think we got to have Lucien back because I think Colin Yo should be there too. I think it should be clear that Colin Yo, like that gaslighting, has really done him in.
Okay, now I think also Lucien acts is like Sebastian in the really bad direct-to-video Little Mermaid sequel. Like he sort of has to guide
Yeah.
the child through how to use their mat. Like, this is what Amelie did,
Right.
which he did. He wasn't aware of in the moment at all, but
Right,
somehow in the sequel knows
He knows.
exactly the mechanics of how that all worked.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Also, one more suggestion: we don't call it Amelie do.
Okay.
We
What'd
call
we
it
call it?
Amelie. The first taste was free.
Done.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Mondo, you're up next.
So while I agree that this film should probably not be remade, I mean, I would like to do a remake of this film for the Gen Z crowd. I'm going to bring up The Breakfast Club here. The Breakfast Club is my film for deciding whether or not someone is a millennial or Gen Z. Millennials seem to still love this film as much as I did, as much as most of Generation X did.
Mm-hmm.
While the Gen Z kids, they seem to hate it because John Bender is a sex offender.
He's a sex offender. Yes.
People are terrible, and they are still somehow heroes.
Mm.
So my nieces like hate The Breakfast Club. My daughter is 29; she's a millennial. She loves the film, and I feel like there is parts of Amelie that they will have serious problems with. At the fun fair, when Nino is the skeleton, when she goes on the ghost train, he's moaning in her ear. He is touching her. He's touching her cheek. He's touching her neck. He's touching her. It's like some people will see that as romantic. Some people will see that as like that is wrong. That is sexual harassment.
Let me fill the audience in on this moment. Nino has two jobs. One is at a carnival. The other is at the local dildo shop. But the first job, Amelie shows up at while he's there. And he dresses in costumes in like this sort of haunted house situation where she's in like a buggy or whatever. And he is a skeleton who gets on her car and then starts touching her face.
And
did I explain that correct?
Yes.
Basically, yeah.
And he's moaning it, and you can tell she is enjoying this on a couple of levels. A, I guess she feels it's erotic. She's enjoying it. She also knows it's Nino.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Who she is,
she has feelings for already.
Right.
But that behavior did not detour those feelings at all.
No.
To your point.
But he has no idea who she is. I mean, she's pretty, and this is just something he's doing, is moaning in her ear and touching her.
See, I guess I really didn't read it that way.
Yeah.
The reason I read it this way is because whenever I tell my nieces, who are younger than my daughter, you should check this movie out. This is a great movie. Their reactions are always not what I expected. John Bender is a sex offender.
Yeah.
My goodness, what is he doing? Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back is he's pushing Princess Leia against the wall while she's trying to work. He's touching her. She's just like, don't touch me. And he's just like, you like it.
He's like Pepe Le Pew.
Indiana Jones is, there's implications that he first dated. We're going to say dated Marion when maybe made Whoopi when she was a young teen. Much younger than him. There's those implications.
Holy Priscilla Presley. So
I get where they're coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see it that way when I first watched those movies. I'm still good with those movies. My mother thinks that it's kind of sexy when Han Solo is sexually harassing Princess Leia. She will defend that scene. Because she's like, he's so rugged and manly and handsome, also from a different time. So I think they would definitely see a problem with the way Nino acts at the fun fair, but also the fact that Joseph is a stalker. I don't know why they let him there day after day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So before he gets set up with Georgette, he was dating the other coworker,
Gina,
and was showing up there every day just to stalk her.
And basically harass her.
Yeah. At her job.
Yes.
And police don't seem to have been called for this.
No.
They don't throw him out. They occasionally, she gives him some shit about it, but like they don't throw him out. They don't ask him to leave.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
He's welcome there every day. So Amelie sets Georgette up with a stalker.
Stalker, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's setting off red flags in a relationship he's not even in anymore. He's still got those big red flags. And she's just like, let's set him up with a hypochondriac and see how that goes. So I would like to do a remake that younger people would not find problematic. Like, let's just change those scenes up a little bit. But
yeah, I love that.
I'd like to set it in Brooklyn.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
It's not like a huge city. Like, I don't know much. Like, I wouldn't want to set it in Manhattan.
Well, I would have said it at the 61st Precinct Youth Program. Sorry, I broke Mondo.
Oh, no.
That's okay.
Shout out to Coney Island Avenue.
Well, I'm thinking like Park Slope.
Right.
Okay.
All the brownstones. You've got all the...
not Coney Island Avenue.
Yes. You got like all those, like, there's a lot of like hipster type restaurants, pubs, bars, stuff like that.
Okay.
It's very...
Steve Buscemi lives there. It's perfect.
Yeah, casting. I was thinking
let's get
Haley
right to the
Steinfeld. Right to the casting.
Yep.
Haley Steinfeld as Amelie.
Okay.
I was bounced between her
like
and Daphne Keane, but I think I'm going to go with Haley Steinfeld.
Okay.
Jaheel Jerome, who played the 13-foot tall black giant in I'm a Virgo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, again, I mean, like, I thought of, he was also the voice of Miles Morales' Universe 42 in the second Spider-Verse movie, the Prowler one.
Yes.
Which was not, because the voice actors were different for both Miles Morales'. So,
I did not know that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Jaheel Jerome did the voice of the Universe 42 Prowler Miles Morales.
Oh,
the voice is very similar. He does a very good job of imitating the actor whose name I forgot, but the original Miles Morales.
Both of those films, by the way, are so airtight.
The that I'm a Virgo series that I caught him in, which again, I mean, I started watching again because of Amelie. It has a lot of those like very magical realism type elements, and that's what made me go back to that. And I was like, you know what? I would like him as Nino. That's what I want to see.
It's a great choice.
Yeah.
Raphael Poulain, Amelie's father, Nick Offerman. I just love him in anything. I love Nick Offerman. Period.
Yeah, and his wife are wonderful too. Both of them.
Yes. Oh my God, Megan Mullally.
Yeah.
Yes. She's together. They're fantastic. Also.
Yeah.
He has this. He can pull off that loneliness and that distance
he
while
was in
still showing
The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Now I'm feeling that harder than just the Parks and Rec Nick Offerman.
He also had a cameo in Risk Cutters.
That's right. He does.
Yep. He's just fantastic, and I think he would do a really good job. Joseph Chris O'Dowd, because I love him, and I could see him in that role. So he's talking to the tape recorder, making the snide comments about what Gina's really up to. That is such a good role for him. And Georgette, Diane Morgan, also known as Philomena Kunk. I think she would be. Yeah, she would be fantastic.
She's just a fantastic human
Mm-hmm.
that I'm glad we share a planet with.
Right?
Dufayel, the guy who's painting the Renoir, Tom Waits.
I have Tom Waits. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Again, in Risk Cutters, and as I was rewatching Risk Cutters because of Amelie, he has a role in that. And as I was watching it, I was just like, you know what? He would be fantastic as the person who's also helping to push Amelie out. While Tom Waits is just great no matter what he does.
Yeah, Tom Waits could play anything or anyone.
I'll put Tom Waits in my breakfast cereal. Eugene Cordero as Lucien.
Okay.
Because he kind of looks like Lucien, but he's also a really good actor. He was Pillboy in The Good Place.
Yes.
Jason Mendoza's best friend.
Yes.
And I mean, I liked him in that a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
But the more stuff I see him in, the more I realize like he is a very talented actor. He's got a very unique look. And I just feel like he could just kind of pull that. I mean, I could see him like yelling those like insults with Devon, like, Calling you on, big moron.
Yeah.
Calling you on down the John. I mean, I could see him. I can see him and hear him doing that. It's like it's not a role I necessarily wanted to like think about, like, but it just hit me that he would be great in that.
That is amazing.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so I just want to change that ghost train scene. And see, you could do that at Coney Island.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
You could.
Yeah, on the Cyclone.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I've got a couple questions for you, though. First, okay, when is your movie going to take place?
So, Amelie, I feel like, is not going to work in our current era.
Mm-hmm.
When she's trying to find people, I mean, there's Google. She's going to Google.
Right.
She's going to Google. I can't remember the name of the boy who's now an adult man who lived in her apartment in the 50s.
Right.
She got the name a little bit wrong. The old neighbors got the name wrong.
Right.
She can just Google that.
Dominique Brotteau.
Brotteau.
Right.
Brotteau.
But it's two and not do.
Yeah, that's right. Tutu. Yeah.
Everybody has a cell phone. She is not going to be able to do this I'm calling you on the payphone thing.
Yeah.
And trick you. The number is going to come up. And if you don't recognize the number, I mean, I know what I do. I'm just like, I don't know you. And this is just, you're done.
That's right. Off to a voicemail I will never check.
Yes. Probably be set in the same time period would probably be the best thing to do to avoid that.
So starting it at Lady Diana's death.
Starting it with the Lady D.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and exactly, because that was the trigger.
The impetus for everything, yeah.
Yes.
And that works. My second question is, though, okay, so you said you want to update it for Gen Z, so getting rid of, like, you know, the Coney or fixing the Coney Island thing. So my only question then is, but then how does Joseph work?
So
you got to shake that up.
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed. Yeah.
Because that's, he can't be a stalker anyway. I mean,
I think he could be sad.
Okay.
Like, maybe he goes there every day. He's not obnoxious talking to his, like, you know, just like docking planned at like 4 p.m. You know, you know, maybe he's just sad. He goes there every day and he's just like, I miss you. And she's just like, look, you need to get over me. So just maybe a little less stalkerish.
Okay.
And just maybe like a sad
into the comedy a little bit. Like he's still stalking her, but it's like, you know, but it's in a, you know, but it's comedy.
Right. I mean, because even in Amelie with Georgette, I mean, like when he first approaches Georgette, I mean, one of the first things he does is he pulls her blouse out a little bit.
To look at that necklace.
Right. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's like, that's kind of creepy.
When he tells her she's beautiful when she blushes, and she's like, I'm not blushing, it's my dyspepsia.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
So I think if we make him a little less creepy and a little more sad.
Okay.
He misses Gina. He's sad. He shows up every day. The reason they don't kick him out is because he's just sad. He's not harassing necessarily. Gina's thoroughly annoyed by it.
It also it makes the character more fun.
Yeah. Okay. I just felt like, you know, if your remake was, like you said, the Gen Z thing, I was like, well, we got to do something about Joseph for sure.
You do have to make him less creepy, less stalkerish.
And somehow making an American version seems less, I don't know, because I was really harsh when I said we couldn't remake it. So this feels better.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to remake it, but if somebody said, hey, here's the bag of money.
Yeah, you got to do it.
I would like you to remake. This is what I would do.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And not for nothing, this is the first time you've played this game on the show.
Yeah.
And especially for a first time, man, you knocked it out of the park. So kudos to you, man.
Yeah. No, that was great. It was well thought out. Yeah. And you handled it when I said when you did the thing I said you couldn't do.
So mine's going to be a remake.
Okay.
The thing that you said we couldn't do.
Yep, the thing I said you couldn't do. All right.
Now, this might be a surprise to both of you, but my remake is really bitter and cynical.
Okay.
Because we got to tell the truth about Amelie a little bit.
Oh.
Right? Like the magical whimsy of her repairing her loved ones' lives. She's lying to all of them. She's gaslighting all of them. It is what it is. Like She lies. He likes you. She likes you. That's a lie. Forging a letter
Yep.
to give one closure about their dead husband is still a kind of a bad lie.
Sure.
Indeed it
You
is.
know?
Okay. Okay. Yep.
You know, like, and the list goes on. Stealing your father's gnome and having it photographed all over the world, so maybe he'll get up off his ass and travel. Although
Kind of harsh.
a hilarious lie.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was
Especially the way he handles it when he's like, I don't know what to do.
Actually,
She's
that's
like,
really creative prank. Like, I don't know if I would even be so harsh on that one because that's pretty funny,
right? And she's
and
like,
kind of brilliant. Like, you know, yeah. So still a falsehood, but
yeah.
Like, again, like it's a remake, but it's not like I'm not trying to recreate that atmosphere like Armand. I'm not trying to like make it, like it's magical, right? No, it's bitter, but I have like a great ensemble cast. Like the tone will be like Steel Magnolias.
Okay.
Meets Dennis Hopper's Out of the Blue. which is just bleak.
Okay.
Right? So like, but only an atmosphere, right? Because the ensemble cast will just, if bleak was a color, it's that like dingy green. Right? But the characters sort of pop off of it.
Got it.
In a whimsical way, right? So I'm going to call it The Big Dumb Tomorrow of Amy Patterson. And it's the story of an angry daughter of an Army sergeant who lives specifically at Kirkland Air Force Base in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay.
Because as we established in the David Bowie episode, if you just pick up your phone in New Mexico, you make an amazing movie.
Yep, sure do.
Don't even need a set designer, right?
Nope.
And because of the talent I'm raking in, I got to place my marbles in a different basket. And also because I know the area, right?
Right.
Like I know the kind of story I want to tell.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So because it's me casting it, again, Alana Haim will play Amy.
Of course she will.
It is a different kind of love story because she's like this bitter, antisocial, almost punk rock girl who's going to fall in love with her. But the autistic boy at the bowling alley, Jack Quaid.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Her father will be played by Ben Mendelsohn.
I like that.
Yeah.
Her friend Georgette, the hypochondriac, will be Natasha Lyonne. Who won't have to change a thing about her because she's like Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way.
Right.
Like it.
And also because it's an Air Force base, doesn't matter where you're from, how you talk, or,
Right. It's transient.
Yeah. So from there, we get Joseph or Joe the Bowler. By one Damon Harriman from Justified.
Okay.
Our failed writer guy is going to be Sebastian Stan. Because again, it's like cameo. Like it's a little bit Robert Altman shortcutsy. Like it's very or Blue in the Face, like the sort of sequel to Smoke. Like we just have like little cameos here and there. Right. Our Gina is going to be Kirby Howell Baptiste because if I like, we're just looking at her little dimples.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Mondo and I sort of had that in common because of The Good Place. Right. And also she played Death in the Doomed Sandman show. Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Our Suzanne is going to be, all right, ready? I love this one. Lily Tomlin.
Nice.
Because when I think of limited edition people, that's the first name that comes up in my brain. Raymond the Painter, or in my screenplay, Ray the Coco Pelli t-shirt salesman, will be played by Tom Waits.
Yes.
Okay.
And Madeline, the war letter lady, will be played by Kristen Milioti. Most recently, she was in The Penguin. She was a big part of a recurring character on 30 Rock. And she's wonderful. My director is going to be Greta Gerwig.
Okay.
And my cinematographer is going to be Robbie Ryan, who most famously did Poor Things.
Ah, okay.
So you get the look I'm going for. If I'm going to use that film as a palette or a reference or a jumping point, Poor Things, right? Soundtrack by the Decemberists.
Nice.
Okay.
Yes. So that is my nasty Amelie remake.
Yeah.
My hateful Amelie remake.
Okay, see, all of this is making me feel a little bit better, even though I told you both that you can't do remakes, because they're not exactly remakes of the movie I love.
But we're not going the Color of Money route either, right? Like, it's not a backdoor sequel. It's not yeah.
So these are viable. They're viable. I don't hate them.
It's not Grease 2. We're not, we're not making a make Whoopi in a nuclear bunker. Yeah. In a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was really worried. I was worried about how we were going to get through the end of this episode without me just being angry. So this is good. Yeah, I was worried.
I would also like to see a Blubber spinoff, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like no a question. Short that goes with the extra features even?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
What happened to Blubber?
Like a Pixar film that just starts it? Yeah.
What if Blubber is the narrator?
Oh, damn.
Okay. Blubber, I mean,
can we just applaud that? Can we just applaud that? Like,
thank you. Blubber
is the narrator.
He's
from the river.
He's been keeping an eye on her.
Yep.
The whole time.
The whole time. Oh, brilliant.
I love that you not only made his story cyclical, but you brought symmetry to this episode.
Yeah, you did.
Oh.
In a wonderful, really f***ed up and bent way. Thank you for that.
Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mondo's clearly invited back now.
Yes. But that is our breakdown of the film, or as the Americans just call it, Amelie.
Right.
But it is the fabulous destiny of Amelie Poulain.
Correct.
Poulain?
I think it's Poulain. Yeah, I think it's Poulain. Yeah.
Right. We're taking it back from Harvey Weinstein.
Damn right we are.
Like so much of our lives.
That's right. That's correct.
I just want to say that everyone listening who went through this journey with us, definitely visit studiopropertyshow.com.
Yes, please.
And definitely check out all the back episodes, our videos, our socials, our photos. Everything that is us is all over that thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank Mondo for coming on the show and making it delightful.
Thanks for joining us, Mondo.
Thanks for having me. I was very happy to be here. And again, thanks for having me. This was great.
Next week.
Yes.
Is a very exciting week here on Studio Property because we are going to be covering The Last Temptation of Christ. Now, if you don't know what that's about, it's about a guy who's forced to live an alternate reality as he's being executed by the Romans for being too woke. You could rent that on Amazon Prime. That's another thing I want to start doing is maybe tell people where they can stream things, right? But that one I looked up from Devon's list because Devon is the type A personality that makes this whole thing work. Otherwise, it would just be like when you blow up a balloon and just forget the tie and just let it go. That's me in charge. That is me in charge. So I'm very, very excited about that. We're going to do The Last Temptation of Christ next week. But in the meantime, we are your Studio Property. I'm Doug Wortell.
I'm Devon Irby.
And I was Mondo.
And Scene.
Studio Property is a production of Spillway Street Content in Red Hook, New York, and syndicated on Radio Free Rhinecliff. Theme song by The Corner Bodega. Visit studiopropertyshow.com to get all up in our beeswax. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.